Hello people, just doing a sort of get you started in Tinkercad video for you here. Now first of all, depending on what year group you're in will depend on whether you get a class account or whether you've set your own account up. Generally if you're key stage 4 or 5, set your own account up. You're over 13 obviously. Use your school email address so that you can reset password if you need to. If you're key stage 3, I will probably have set an account up for you. Okay, so the way I usually do this, I will put a link. If you go to your class area in Teams, I'll put a link in there, click on the link, and it will ask for a nickname. Now, I'll usually set this up as your name, okay? So try that first. If that doesn't work, maybe speak to me. I'll let you know on a PowerPoint or just verbally during the lesson, okay? So anyway, once you've got onto Tinkercad, it will look a bit like this. You won't have as much on there because I've got some designs already here. So click on Create, and we're going to do a 3D design, and it will give you a plotting area like this. Okay, now I have my plotting area set quite large. Okay, so yours won't look quite as big as this, but it's the same thing basically. Okay, now I'm just going to drag a few shapes onto here first. We'll talk about shapes and how it works and stuff like this. Okay, so first of all, as you can see, you just find a shape that you want and you can drag it over. You've got basic shapes. There's all sorts of other things on there as well. Okay, I'm just going to use basic shapes for this. You can explore the other bits and pieces. Okay, so once you've got these shapes on here, if you want to zoom in or out, okay, that will just zoom in or out on the center of the screen. If you want to look, let's say we want to look specifically at this triangular prism, if you click on this one, it will then zoom in on whatever you've selected. Okay, if you want to go back to the home screen, click on home. That will then zoom back out again, and it's quite a useful thing if there's different bits of your project that you're working on. Quite a good way of doing it. You can also pan round your shape. Okay, so I'm just going to select both of those for now, get them, and if you get these you can have a look all the way around it. Okay, if you're not sure where you started from, click on home. That'll take you back to where you started. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you make a simple little box for the moment. Okay, I'll start with something simple like a square. Now you can use the mouse for most of the functions on this, but keyboard is also very useful as well. The shape I'm doing this, I'm going to do this as just as a sort of square rectangular prism at the moment, but it's a similar sort of process for whichever shape you want to do. So first of all, if we click on here, something you need to realize is it's got dimensions. That's 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters. So that shape there, even if you zoom in on it, it's 2 centimeters. Don't get drawn into thinking what's on the screen in front of you is the actual size of something. It's 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. It's tiny. So first of all, I'm going to make this into a reasonable sized box for, let's say, a desk tidy or a storage tree project. So I'm going to go 30 in one direction, and then let's do 70 in another direction. So I'm just typing on here. You can put the dimensions in. I find that easier to do that, but you can also just drag these, which is okay, but it's if you want to get exact measurements, I find it easier to type it in. Now you have on this program got an undo last. Okay, you can redo last as well. You can do that lots of different steps. Okay, so I'm just going to recenter and zoom out a little bit. Good to get used to using these tools. Now at the moment this is a solid shape, and I'm just going to, because I want to carve another rectangle out of that to create a box, I'm going to make a copy of that and then make a hole which I can then use to carve it out. Now on here you've got this up here. This is duplicate and repeat. Now if you click on that once, that will then create another shape exactly the same as the top one. Now I'm using the cursors on the keyboard here. I find them quite useful for jogging bits about. You can move it by the mouse as well, just click on it and drag it around, but then I find things don't line up quite so nicely then. Okay, now so I'm going to make that hole. Click on there, tells you that's a hole now. Now in order for this to work, I need to make this a bit smaller than this one. Okay, so if we click on here, and this is where this is useful now, because you can make that a bit more of an exact size. Now you probably want to make about a 2mm wall thickness, which means you want to take, and that'll be on all the walls either side, so it'll be 4mm in total. So if we click on that, that's going to now go, sort your maths out, that was going to be 26, and that is going to be 66. Okay, now this shape here will now fit inside this one. Okay, now if it's a simple shape like this, it's relatively easy to get those lined up, but there's a better way. And again, this is useful if you're making a pen block or something like that where it's got lots of holes in, or if you want to make something with different sections. This tool here, the align tool, can be really useful. So it's up here, the align tool there, click on that. You need to select both of your objects that you want to align. Now it's got these different tabs. Now when the tabs are black, that means that you can select the tab. But as soon as you start to, so if I line these up in the middle there, that goes grey. It means I can't use it anymore. And also here, these have gone grey. That means that's all lined up that way, or it's an equal size. Okay. Just need to line it up there as well. Okay. And if we look at that now, we've got a shape, and see it's grey where that hole is, but it's still two shapes that I've just overlapped at the moment. Now, I'll just show you what this does first of all. There's one thing we need to do still. So if we go to group, we're going to group those items and make it one. Now, what we've got now is a square or rectangular hole. Now, that would probably work for some projects, but I think for a lot of projects, it quite possibly wouldn't. Okay. So what we need to do is actually either make it a bit smaller or lift that internal hole up a tiny bit. So if we go back on here, and then I'm just going to select that piece here. Now, this is quite a useful tool. You can drag it up by that tool there. Okay, again, but if we want to move that up by like 2mm, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use if you press the control button and the pressing up or forwards on the cursors, I'm just going to jog that up 2mm, okay, and then group it again, then make us a lovely box that's ready to be 3D printed. Now, with the 3D printing, okay, you have also got, you might want to add some text to it. Okay, now in order to make the text so that let's go back to that and zoom out. Let's move that a bit closer, like that. Here we go. Let's use I'm using the cursors here. That was stretching it somewhat. Okay, so if we look at the text here, you might want to put that on, change that to, I don't know, let's say we're going to put screws in there. I'm going to box for putting screws in, like so. Now obviously that's too big for that box to go on at the moment, okay, but if we look at our shape here, if you go there, we've got these protractors. Now these protractors, you can use that to change the sort of ratio, not the ratio, what we're talking about, the plane that is in. Now we want to put that onto the front of the box. We're still too big. These things here, you can either, if you move your cursor within the protractor, it just jumps to 22.5mm. If you go outside, it then goes to 1mm increments. Okay. Now, I want to, first of all, let's get these lined up, just so we can see what we've got. So we get those lined up, let's get it centralized, and we'll get it centralized there, and I'm going to line everything up with the front there. Okay. So, if we sort of pan around there, we can see the shapes are just too different, aren't they? Okay, so this screws, we need to make that much, much, much smaller. That direction, and also in this direction. We'll make that 2mm, and still too high in this direction. So squeeze it down 29.3, because that should now fit. And then we're going to use our align tool again. Line. To line that up centrally there, still too tall, and front there, jog that onto there, get that big. Okay, right, so let's look at that from the front. No, still not the right size. Do that, okay. And then we're going to use the align tool again. There, we're probably there Okay, so you can see there it sticks out a tiny little bit from the front. Okay, it doesn't sit in there, but we've now got a little box that's ready for printing out and then using to store your screws in. Last thing you need to do before you save it, it's a really good idea. Tinkercad makes up some daft name for it. Okay, I always change that because otherwise we don't know whose work it is. If we go to print it out, if it just says Powerful Usam on it, no idea whose it is. So put what it is. Okay, so Mr. Appleby, can't spell my name, Mr. Appleby, and we'll call it box for now. Okay, so now when we save that, once that's put into the 3D printer, we know that it's my box. Okay, that can come back to me. Might be a good idea to put your class code on as well. Okay, thank you.